Hey, everyone. Welcome to today's video. I've got some interesting emails to share with you from supposed park rangers and search and rescue personnel. They recount some truly strange, supernatural, and horrifying experiences. Before we dive into the stories, drop a comment below letting me know if you prefer this storytelling style over being on camera. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the first story. Our tale comes from Terrace, who worked in search and rescue briefly back in 2001. He vividly remembers an incident while searching for a 10-year-old boy who had been missing for over 12 hours in the Sawtooth Wilderness in Idaho. The boy was last seen with his family, but in a blink of an eye, he vanished when the family turned away. Terrace didn't specify the exact location, just that it happened in the general Sawtooth Wilderness area. For those unfamiliar, the Sawtooth Wilderness in Idaho spans roughly 220,000 acres of forest. As you can imagine, searching for someone in such a vast area is no small feat. In the initial days, the search and rescue team couldn't locate the boy, and morale was starting to dwindle. Terrace shared that around day 4 or 5, they stumbled upon what they believed to be evidence of the boy entering a small cave system. Now, Terrace didn't provide an extensive description of the cave's size or depth, leaving a shroud of mystery around its characteristics. The search and rescue team, driven by the urgency of finding the missing boy, explored every conceivable nook and cranny, considering the possibility that he might have sought refuge within the cavernous recesses. Despite their exhaustive efforts, no trace of the boy emerged from the depths of the cave. However, within that subterranean darkness, they stumbled upon a poignant clue. A torn piece of the boy's shirt lay discarded. Yet what truly sent shivers down Terrace's spine was the discovery of a makeshift altar. In the dim light, it revealed itself adorned with what appeared to be animal skulls and traces of dried blood. Terrace couldn't shake off the unsettling feeling that this might be linked to something ominous, perhaps even veering into the realm of satanic rituals. As the days unfolded, the search continued relentlessly, but the wilderness held its secrets tight. No further evidence or signs of the young boy surfaced, intensifying the family's pain as they grappled with the looming possibility of never seeing their son again. The weight of the unknown pressed heavily upon them. Then, in a twist of fate on around day 8, the search party discovered the boy approximately 8 miles away from his initial disappearance point. Terrace vividly described the moment. They found him huddled beneath a tree, fully clothed but trembling. The weather wasn't harsh. It wasn't too cold, and the skies were clear. Strangely, the boy seemed to defy the hardships of the wilderness, appearing perfectly fed and immaculately clean. A closer inspection revealed not a single scratch on him. Yet he remained in a puzzling state, utterly incoherent and unresponsive. Upon his rescue and joyous reunion with his family, the boy, they observed, existed in a state best described as almost catatonic, a mental haze that lingered for an entire week before he gradually began to articulate his experiences. Now, brace yourselves, because the story takes an even more surreal turn. As the boy began to regain his ability to speak, returning to a semblance of his old self, he unraveled a tale that stretched the limits of belief. In his own words, the boy recounted an extraordinary encounter. He claimed to have been snatched by what he could only describe as a bear man. According to the boy, this enigmatic creature, part bear and part man, cared for him during the entire 8 days of his disappearance. The boy detailed how the bear man provided him with cooked meat and fresh water, ensuring his well-being. The makeshift bed where he rested during those days was located underground in what the boy perceived as a cave. In a jaw-dropping twist, the boy narrated an incident where the bear man, in a display of extraordinary strength, thwarted a cougar's attack. The creature sneaking up on the boy met its demise as the bear man, with an almost surreal finds, twisted its head as if it were a piece of origami. The boy recounted witnessing the bear man consuming the cougar's carcass. Each morning, the bear man made sure the boy had plenty to eat, engaging in conversations that defied the boundaries of the natural world. The boy mentioned that the bear man spoke of a long journey to a destination unknown, adding an air of mystique to the entire ordeal. However, whenever the boy inquired about their whereabouts or purpose, the bear man remained silent. On the day of the boy's rescue, the bear man allegedly instructed him to stay put while he ventured out to gather food. The boy described an intriguing ritual. The bear man waved his hands over his face, inducing a trance, like state that would last for days. Terrace, mindful of the sensitivity of the situation, chose not to disclose the names of the boy or his family, perhaps in an effort to shield them from undue attention. It's essential to note that these events transpired back in 2001, when Terrace served in search and rescue for a brief period. Terrace went on to pursue work as a park ranger in various states, engaging in several search and rescue missions. Although he didn't delve into specific parks or locations, he did share that the incident with the missing boy in 2001 stood out as the most bizarre and strange experience throughout his career. Despite continuing his career in different states, he never encountered a case quite like the one involving the bear man. Fast forward to around 2013 or 2014, Terrace stumbled upon David Paulides' Missing 411 series, a compilation of cases involving mysterious disappearances in national parks. To his astonishment, he found multiple cases that bore an uncanny resemblance to the one he had experienced firsthand. The eerie similarities unnerved Terrace to the point where he distanced himself from the national park system. He expressed to me that more cases resembling the one in 2001 had occurred since then, although he was directly involved in only this particular search and rescue mission. Regardless, the inexplicable nature of these events continues to haunt him. Terrace emphasized that stories like these are the ones that keep him up at night. Moving on to the next account, we hear from Ray, a park ranger who served in Grand Teton National Park from 1994 to 2002. Despite never having a direct encounter with Bigfoot or similar creatures, Ray shared instances of encountering unexplainable phenomena during his tenure. In the early years of his park ranger career, Ray found himself in a perplexing situation after a fierce windstorm, engaged in brush clearing for a popular trail. The aftermath of the storm presented an unusual scene. While Ray couldn't pinpoint his exact activities at the time, he vividly remembered the landscape transformed by the recent windstorm. Recalling the incident, Ray experienced an unsettling tingling sensation on the back of his neck, a feeling of being watched that he initially dismissed, given the presence of cougars and bears in the area. Such sensations were commonplace and not necessarily creepy. However, his unease heightened when he noticed an abrupt shift in the atmosphere. The woods around him fell into an eerie silence and stillness. For seasoned hunters among you, the sudden hush of the forest is an unmistakable sign of a nearby predator. Armed and not easily rattled, Ray continued his activities, assuming it might be a bear or cougar. This nonchalance persisted until he heard a massive tree crashing down less than 100 yards away. The thunderous noise, resembling a bulldozer uprooting a tree, startled Ray. Unable to see the tree fall but captivated by the commotion, Ray's curiosity got the better of him. After the cacophony subsided, the forest fell into an eerie silence once again, prompting Ray to investigate. Now, I'm sure many of you are wondering why he would venture towards a potentially dangerous situation. Ray, however, was driven by curiosity, unencumbered by the fears that often grip individuals in the deep woods. In a small meadow, approximately 128 yards away, Ray encountered a scene that defied explanation. A large Douglas fir tree, not only uprooted but seemingly thrown, lay in the clearing. The sheer force required to accomplish this left Ray both astounded and intrigued, fueling his determination to understand the mysterious events unfolding in the heart of the wilderness. Ray went on to describe the surreal scene that met his eyes, an unmistakable sign of some extraordinary force at play. It appeared as though something had violently torn the massive Douglas fir out of the ground, hurling it about 50 feet into the surrounding trees and foliage. A gaping hole, torn by sheer force, remained where the tree had once stood. The aftermath of this event left everything in disarray. The Douglas fir, with an estimated diameter of 2 to 3 feet and towering at least 70 feet tall, lay sprawled in the clearing. The sheer size of the tree only heightened the mystery of its abrupt and forceful removal. Feeling deeply unnerved by this inexplicable phenomenon, Ray hesitated to linger in the vicinity for an extensive investigation. Although he didn't stay long, he immediately discerned that this wasn't a typical case of a tree felled by natural causes or wind. Something had forcefully torn it up from the ground and propelled it into the forest. Adding to the eeriness, Ray detected a noxious odor permeating the area, a strange amalgamation of sulfur, rotting animal, and garbage. Yet, despite scouring the surroundings, he found no trace of the source of this peculiar smell. After a brief observation of the bizarre scene, Ray swiftly returned to his ranger duties, but the feeling of being watched persisted, and the woods maintained an uncanny silence. Ray recounted spending another 2 to 3 hours in the vicinity before heading back. Remarkably, he avoided that particular part of the park for quite some time afterward. He noted that, unfortunately, he didn't have a camera with him at the time, leaving him unable to capture the perplexing scene. This perplexing experience left Ray scratching his head, unable to comprehend how a tree of such size could be randomly uprooted and thrown by an unknown force. Ray, grappling with the bizarre scene before him, could only fathom one explanation. Perhaps a large machine was responsible for the violent uprooting and hurling of the massive Douglas fir. The extent of the damage seemed indicative of machinery, but there was a glaring absence of the accompanying sounds or evidence. No tracks marred the ground. No signs of machinery were found in the vicinity. It was as if the tree had defied gravity, lifting itself from the ground before being thrown. Ray shared with me that this particular incident continued to deeply unsettle him, the mystery lingering in his thoughts. In another unnerving encounter, Ray recounted an incident from the summer of '99. During this time, he stumbled upon a grim sight, a dead mountain lion hanging about 15 feet up in a tree. Closer inspection revealed a macabre detail. The mountain lion's head and 2 front arms were not cut or eaten, but violently torn from its body by an unimaginable force. About 20 to 30 feet away, on an old dead stump, the mountain lion's head sat perfectly intact. It was as though whatever had separated the head from the body had delicately placed it on the stump. Remarkably, there was no blood in the vicinity, adding to the surreal nature of the scene. The grisly discovery left Ray deeply disturbed, prompting him to avoid further investigation. While he couldn't locate the forearms of the cat, Ray described the entire scene as unsettling, suggesting that something had purposefully placed the mountain lion in the nook of the tree, as if preserving it for a later time. Ray vividly conveyed the disturbing sight of the mountain lion's head sitting on the stump, giving the impression that it had been deliberately placed there for some unknown purpose. The absence of blood in the vicinity was particularly perplexing. Upon inspecting the body, Ray discerned that the flesh was torn, not cut or consumed. This suggested a force of immense power had ripped the head off and intentionally positioned it on the stump, perhaps with a purpose to return later. Attempting to make sense of the unsettling discovery, Ray considered the possibility of a large bear being responsible, even though it seemed incongruent with typical bear behavior. Bears usually consume their prey rather than storing them in trees. While not entirely dismissing the bear theory, Ray found the lack of blood and the deliberate placement of the body in the tree's nook to be perplexing elements. When asked about the potential involvement of a person, Ray acknowledged the possibility, but questioned the motive behind tearing the head off when a cleaner cut could be achieved with a knife or another tool. Despite entertaining various theories, Ray ruled out any supernatural explanation for this particular case. He characterized it as eerie, acknowledging the unsettling nature of the situation. In the final story, Ray recounted a conversation with a fellow park ranger, a close friend, who shared a chilling detail about a specific area in the backcountry. This region was reputed for alleged satanic rituals being performed there, making it a place both he and his friend avoided for a long time. The aura of mystery and dark practices associated with that part of the backcountry added yet another layer to the uncanny tales Ray had encountered throughout his tenure as a park ranger. Ray, a pragmatic individual, never subscribed to the tales of his friend regarding satanic rituals in a specific stretch of backcountry. However, during one of his maintenance work trips, he found himself in the same area. Similar to the first story, the woods fell into an eerie silence, and Ray's discomfort heightened. It wasn't a feeling of being watched, but rather an instinctual awareness that something was off. In this unsettling clearing, Ray stumbled upon a large pentagram burned into the ground. Large animal skulls and bones adorned the trees, evoking the distinct impression that someone had recently performed a ritual there. The atmosphere in this small clearing felt charged, reminiscent of static electricity, an energy that Ray described as distinctly different and not good. It felt like he shouldn't be there. Attempting to make sense of the burned pentagram, Ray acknowledged the precision and heat required for such an occurrence. Although he recognized that various tools could accomplish this, he remained uncertain about the specifics. Ray understood that satanic rituals occur in many national forests and parks, but emphasized his avoidance of such areas. He clarified that fortunately, he had not witnessed any sacrifices or darker aspects of cult rituals. Reflecting on his experience, Ray reaffirmed his disbelief in notions of aliens, UFOs, or Bigfoot, while acknowledging the strange and unexplainable occurrences in national parks. He maintained a rational perspective, believing that there is likely a rational explanation for everything. In conclusion, Ray, after sharing some of the stories he heard, kept an open mind but remained steadfast in his conviction that there is no existence of Bigfoot, ghosts, or spirits. Despite encountering strange and potentially unexplainable incidents, Ray firmly believed that somehow there is a rational explanation for everything. He posed a question to his audience, leaving them to ponder whether these strange happenings are mere creepy, fictitious stories, or if there are genuinely disturbing and unexplainable events occurring within the deep woods and national park systems. The decision he left to his audience to ponder upon. As we navigate the mysteries within our national parks, the stories shared by Ray offer a glimpse into the unexplained. Whether these occurrences are mere tales or eerie realities, the deep woods continue to hold secrets. What are your thoughts on these strange happenings? Share your insights in the comments below. And if you've had similar experiences or know more about these mysteries, let's unravel them together. Subscribe for more intriguing stories and join us on this journey into the enigmatic realms of our natural wonders.